Well, what we're discussing today is we're going to continue on this theme of loneliness because loneliness is such an epidemic right now. And as you read in the last post, that loneliness actually does have cures, but even though we are such a connected society, there is an absolute epidemic of loneliness right now. To that end, we're going to do several different talks about how to cure loneliness, and some of it's kind of funny, some of it's pretty eye-opening. Here we go. Hey guys, Sam Martinez here. Lately, or recently I should say, I posted something on loneliness. It was an article that I co-wrote that dealt with loneliness. Loneliness specifically in the workplace, but just loneliness as an epidemic right now. It seems that the more connected we have become, the lonelier we have become. And what I mean by connected, we seem to be a heck of a lot more connected by social media, by these computers that we're walking around with, these phones that we're walking around with all day long and are addicted to now, yet we are missing the human connection. And that is actually creating serious physical health problems. So if you haven't read that post, go back and check it out. It's not too long. You'll like it. But I want to take this theme because I think this theme is so important. I want to take this theme, and for the next 4 blog posts or vlogs, I want to talk about this. And not just some of the issues that it creates within business and personal, but also maybe some of the causes as well. Today's talk, I'm naming it Fierce Independence, Pioneers' Unexpected Consequences. That's what we want to talk about today, that fierce independence. Now, fierce independence, and I'm talking to my fellow Americans here, we are fiercely independent people. By the way, being a pioneer is not necessarily a bad thing. Pioneering is what actually started this company. It was people actually coming here for religious freedoms that was the motivator to get this country started. It was that fierce independence that we became independent from Britain so many years ago. It is what birthed this country. And so the pioneering spirit, let me just give you collinsdictionary.com's pioneering spirit's definition, is a willingness to endure hardship in order to explore new places or try out new things. As business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people who are trying to achieve something, this is good. This is a good thing. If we're just satisfied with status quo, we never will exceed and achieve or innovate. So there's a huge upside to having that independent pioneer spirit. The bad, though, is that there's a little bit of a rebellious bent to that. Also, as somebody who has a pioneering spirit, I tend to think of my own opinion as more important or a better idea than somebody else's, which also leads to some isolation. That's the downside. Now, let's think about this. As a musician, I played this song many times, but Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way, celebrated song. Frank Sinatra, celebrated musician and singer. But if you really listen to that song, it is amazingly narcissistic. That at the end of his life, what he can say is that he did it his way. You know, that is the goal of life, is that self-actualization. And actually, talking about self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the very top part is that we have self-actualization. The problem is that once we get to that self-actualization alone, we realize it's a very lonely place. And as I've been mentioning before, loneliness is killing us, literally, physically killing us. So this fierce independence that drives us further from each other, we have to keep in check. The root of loneliness actually comes from that self-preservation because we don't connect with other people because of that, making our identity many times our productivity is also what drives us to loneliness. And so unfortunately, especially, and again, I'm speaking to my own culture here, even as entrepreneurs, and especially here in America, we are celebrated by what we achieve, not who we are. And because of that, we drive ourselves to achieve more, and we try to get our worth from that. But even if you win the Super Bowl, and I've heard this before, that even if you achieve those kinds of successes, as soon as you get there, the next question is, what's next? We already did that. So even that disappoints. Now, I'll tell you, and I'll be transparent with you, as a Christian, I believe that my identity is rooted in God because He created me and He created humanity in His own image and He loves them. And so I try to, I'm not always successful. I try to not get my identity by what I achieve, but I try to do better because I am loved by God. And that allows me to be more generous to others. But the first thing that we have to identify, first thing I had to identify, is that my productivity cannot define me. And so that's the first step in really addressing loneliness, is watching where your identity lies. The next time we talk, I want to talk about the 2 G's, the letter G, the 2 G's to kill loneliness. And not just in your life, but in your organization and in your team. Talk to you then.